Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and XRP is going to go parabolic very soon. Now, this is the first video that I'm going to officially announce that I'm adjusting my timeline for the upcoming alt season. Now, for those of you who had followed me for quite some time, you know I've always talked about this idea of two legs up when it comes to the bull run. Now, typically we've seen the first leg up happen October, heading into November, lasting until December, until we head into the holiday period. That's the first leg up. Then typically over the holiday, we see a market crash. And then from the second week of Jan till about end of March, end of April, in some instances to the first week of May, that's when we see the second leg up, otherwise known as the alt season. Now, we've already seen the first leg up happen end of October into November. And that was also seeing XRP go crazy, parabolic, leading the way, going from 50 cents to over $2 to $2.50, then $2.60, and then $2.70. Now, we didn't see the typical massive dip that we always saw over the Christmas and New Year's time frame. And we also saw XRP go to about $3 at the start of 2025. But then what no one really saw coming was this mini bear market between these leg ups in the bull run. And it's taken the market to a place where we can actually buy into certain cryptos quite cheaply. Interestingly enough, the price of XRP has never really skyrocketed below $1 ever again. If anything, the lowest we saw was around $1.80, $1.75. But it's sitting very comfortably above $2, so it's around a $2 to $2.50 price bracket within that sort of price range. So XRP hasn't seen the crash that a lot of other cryptos have seen, which is really interesting. And so then I look at where the market is and I go, okay, well, I don't believe we're going to see the alt season kick in at the end of 2025. A lot of people are trying to draw comparisons to 2017. And I don't see that, because if we were drawing comparisons to 2017, then we wouldn't have seen the market take off October heading into November and then lasting until December. It wouldn't match up with 2017. And we also wouldn't have seen XRP go to $3 at the start of 2025. It would be this extremely delayed run. If we were following 2017, then we would expect the market to be down where it was before October 2024. Like the market would have stayed down till about August or September of 2025. So the fact that we haven't seen that we've seen the market play out closer to 2020 and 2021, that was how I based my time frame for this time around. Now, the fact that we have seen the market go into this little mini bear cycle, that's why I'm looking at, okay, well, I still see the alt season kicking off in April into May, and I could see it going until maybe June, whether it's middle or end of June. I can just see it being delayed slightly. Essentially, the 2 months that we lost in February and March, I could see that being made up in May, June. That makes sense to me. And so that's why I say XRP could go parabolic very soon. Because what's fascinating to me is that people have kind of ruled out an alt season. I don't know why, but they seem to have given into the negativity. But what that means is that now people are pushing this narrative that XRP isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to stick around $2.50, and that's it. Now, I am going out on a limb and I'm saying, well, not so much going out on a limb, but I'm sort of changing my perspective slightly. But I'm still putting it out there. And I'm saying that the alt season will absolutely happen, because there's never been a time in crypto where we haven't seen a bull run occur, and there's never been a bull run without an alt season. And from where we're standing right now, with the fact that the market is still trading sideways, it's going up a little bit, but it goes up, it trades sideways, it dips a little, goes back up, trades sideways. The fact we're not going parabolic now means that the alt season will happen later than anticipated, but that means it still has to go through the process of an alt season, which means that it'll go until probably June, end of May, end of June, maybe even first week of July. So we've had this amazing opportunity in Feb and March to build and grow, and now we have an alt season that's going to take XRP to the next level. And as I said in my last video, ladies and gents, these are opportunities that we've seen in February and March, because when XRP started skyrocketing in November of 2024, the main sentiment from so many people was, well, I wish I'd bought more XRP before it started moving. And so when you see the market dip, even dipping from $3 to $2.50, $2.30, $2.20, $2, even below $2 for a small moment, these are buying opportunities. Now, this is not financial advice, but just the perspective of someone who's been in crypto since 2016. I've seen XRP move rapidly over the years, and as the years have continued to go on, we have lost access to cheap entry points. Whether that's 1 cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2, we've lost those cheap entry points as the market has continued to grow and as XRP has rallied every bull run. And so we still have a second leg up for XRP. Whether that's $5, $10, or $20, there's still going to be that second leg up. And I can firmly see that happening, or I firmly believe it will happen. I would say March will start that process, and I could see it kind of really taking off heading into April. I think the market has to go back to where it was before Feb, and then from there, we skyrocket into the actual alt season. So there's a lot of ground to cover. And this is why I've been saying for such a long time, it's so important to have a plan. Because if I just headed into this bull run without any type of foundation or any type of perspective or any type of plan, then it's a lot easier to succumb to the negativity, to make rash decisions, to sideline yourself. It's a lot easier to fall into that trap than if you have that foundation of a plan. And the market doesn't always play out the way we hope it will. We've seen that over and over and over again. We saw that with the ETFs, with the Bitcoin ETF. That allowed Bitcoin to reach its all-time high a lot sooner than people anticipated. And even with the announcements of certain news, like some of the XRP ETFs, for example, we haven't seen the type of parabolic rise we'd hope for XRP. So it's a really, interesting time because you don't always see crypto react to the news. In XRP's case, it absolutely doesn't react to the news. But even just in the space of how the markets play out with Bitcoin halving, post-halving bull runs, we've seen that play out pretty similarly over the years. But then no one was really anticipating this idea of a mini bear market in the middle of a bull run. And that's why it's so important to not only have plans, but then adapt to what's happening. Because you have to be adaptable and take things in your stride when it comes to crypto, because it's still a very new space. And so we have to make our calculated decisions, not just in how we get into crypto, the cryptos that we pick, but once we're in, how we adapt and how we pivot and how we continue to grow and put ourselves in the best position possible to make some great profits. And that's the most important thing to focus on as well, ladies and gents. How do we put ourselves in the best position possible to make great profits? And that's why I'm talking about sort of my reassessment of where I think we are when it comes to the alt season. Because initially my time frame was still looking at, March heading into April. And obviously that's been delayed. It's pretty clear it's been delayed. And so, okay, well, where does that leave me? And I've said in previous videos that I would be addressing that. If it looks like we're not skyrocketing in March, which we haven't, then I have to look at the market, look at where we're going and go, okay, what's my next plan? How do I pivot, but also continue to follow my initial plan and make sure I'm always in the best position possible? And so my initial plan was, well, there's going to be an alt season, and I've given myself take profit points. And those take profit points are $5, $10, $20. Now I can give myself those type of take profit points because I've been in XRP for a very, very, very long time. Now, interestingly enough, I've seen people in the comment section talking about, well, I've been in XRP since 2021 and I only have a comparatively smaller bag, and so I can't take profits when it's single digit. And that's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. And you've heard me mention this in numerous videos, that everybody has different take profit points. Not everybody is going to be able to buy gigantic amounts of XRP at $2.50. And that's fair enough. People may have bought the dip and they've bought the dip and they've bought the dip and they've got no more resources left. And that's fair enough as well. Or maybe if you've been in crypto since 2021 and you just haven't used those 3.5 years where XRP was 30 cents to 50 cents and 60 cents, maybe you just didn't focus on growing and building then as well. And that's also a really important lesson to learn. That's a mistake I've made in the past. I've discovered cryptos very cheaply and I haven't acted on those discoveries. And then I look back in a couple of years and go, okay, well, I'm not paying 1 cent for that crypto. Now I have to pay $1 if I want it. That's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a lesson to learn. It's just part of the process. And that's why I say, okay, we have to have a plan. Doesn't matter how big your bag is. You could have 1,000 XRP, you could have 10,000 XRP, you could have 100,000, you could have 1,000,000 XRP. Doesn't matter how big or how small your bag is, you have to have a plan. And that's why it's so important to not only have a plan, but be adaptable. And ladies and gents, one of the worst positions to be in is making these type of plans and decisions in the middle of an alt season. That's why I've been making the content lately about having a plan, about not only having a plan, but also being adaptable. Because I've seen this happen many times in the past where people become married to a price or a time frame, and when it doesn't play out the way they are so 100% invested in, whether they're invested in a time frame or invested in a price point, then they've got no other moves up their sleeves, they've got no other options. And usually that means they're in quite a precarious situation because they've committed their resources to either a time frame or a price point. And now they don't have the ability to adapt and pivot, and they don't have the ability to actually make profit. And that's the reason why I've been talking about having a plan for years now. I was talking about it when XRP was 30 cents and 50 cents, and I was talking about it for ages. And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of go, well, I'll figure it out when it comes to it. Or, I'll figure it out when the XRP starts skyrocketing. And that's how people get left behind. And look, I get it, not everyone has the ability to build and grow as quickly as they want to. But unfortunately, you get 3.5 years of a bear market to kind of figure it out. And you've had this amazing opportunity, we all have, from February to March. We've had this little bear market cycle where we saw some really cheap prices for a lot of crypto. And here's the reality as well. XRP is not going to get cheaper as we go on. It's going to get more and more and more expensive. You can go back to my content from a year ago or 2 years ago, and you can see me talking about XRP going to $5, $10, $20, $100, $1,000. And people were like, yeah, right. It's going to be the situation. Less than a year ago, you could pay 30 cents, 50 cents for XRP, no problem. That was the cheap price. Now you're paying above $2. That's the cheap price. And if you continue to wait, after this alt season, the new cheap price may be $5, $10. And it's going to cost a lot more as time goes on to build a decent sized bag of XRP. And now you've got people banking on this idea of banks using XRP a lot sooner because they've got smaller bags, and they're like, well, banks will use XRP sooner than we anticipate, so I don't have to worry about building my bags. That's the same story I've heard since 2018 until now. I've heard it time and time and time again. And once again, this isn't me being smug. This isn't me trying to be like an I told you so. It's me being as common sense and realistic as possible. I've had to learn this the hard way being in crypto since 2016. I know how you all feel because I've been there myself. And that's the reason why I make this content daily. because I'm trying to give everybody as much as an opportunity as possible to grow and learn. The same way I had to kind of grow and learn, but at least, there's a whole bunch of people out there. There's content creators like myself who are trying to share with you our experiences. Back then in 2016, 2017, there was not really much of that. Even if you paid a lot of money for the so-called experts, you weren't getting a unique but common sense, realistic approach to crypto. And that was the reason why I started making content in the first place, because I'm putting out the content I wish was around when I first started. And so that's why you've heard me say from day in, day out, have a plan, work towards these goals, and use the time when XRP is cheap to accumulate. Not financial advice, ladies and gents, but that's just, what I've been doing. And it's what I've been putting out there, because I've seen people get to the end of an alt season and go, I wish I'd done things differently. We saw it happen November 2024. People were saying, I wish I'd bought more XRP. And so here we are now, on the cusp of an alt season. And the question is, regardless of how big your XRP bag is, are you in the best position possible for the alt season? And if you are, fantastic. And if you're not, these are the times where you need to sit back and have a look at a realistic plan and look at where you are and go, okay, can I build? Can I grow? Do I have to hold? Do I have to wait till the next bull run? Do I have to wait another 3 or 4 years? These are the type of questions to ask now before things start getting crazy. But if you continue to hold, if you have the fortitude and the perseverance to continue on, we are all going to see the biggest alt season anyone's seen in crypto happen, whether it's the next couple of weeks or the next month. It's going to happen. That's why you need a plan, be prepared, be ready for XRP to go parabolic. It's going to hit that next leg up, whether it's $5, $10, $20, maybe more. There will be multiple opportunities along the way to make some profits. And that's why it's so important. Have that plan, hold, and be prepared, be ready. So when things start going crazy, you're in the best position possible. And as I said, ladies and gents, none of this is financial advice. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the other cryptos I hold outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. There you'll have access to all my cryptos, as well as my buy, sell, and take profit signals and strategies in real time.